In this video, we're gonna dive into a tool that Palo Alto Networks offers for you to clean up and improve your firewall policies. Hi, if we haven't met before, my name is Ricardo, the founder of NetSums, where we help security professionals to level up their skills. If you've been managing Palo Alto firewalls for a while, you know how quickly the security policies can pile up. Some are outdated, some are overly broad, and some of them are not even in use anymore. That's where the Policy Optimizer comes in. So let's go to the file and take a look at the Policy Optimizer. So here's my firewall. The Policy Optimizer, you guessed it, you can find it under Policies. It's here on the left side, but before I show you this optimizer, I want to show you my policy rules. And if you go all the way to the right, you can see a section called Rule Usage. Here you can have a good idea if the rules are being used, how often they are being used, and which rules are really not being used. By the way, my rules have a yellow background because I pushed the rules from Panorama, which is the management appliance from the Palo Alto. If you don't know Panorama, it helps you manage several files through only one web interface. It makes it a lot easier for you to configure many files. Here under rule usage, you can see that there is a column called hit count, and you can already see that there are some rules here with a hit count of 0. This hit count here persists even if you restart the file. So unless you reset this, which is possible, it will show you if the rule had some hits or not. Even if you restart the file, this hit count won't be resetted unless you do it manually. In order to manually reset the hit count, you can click on this little arrow that shows when you go with the mouse on top of the number of the hit count. And here you have a reset. Just reset it to 0 now for you so you can see. So the last hit was the last time there was a match on this rule. And the first hit was the first time there was a match on this rule. Of course, if you have a hit count of 0, you won't have any information here. There was never a hit. And the app scene, which is very interesting, especially if you're migrating from other files that only used port-based file rules instead of application-based. Here you can see all the apps that has been seen through this rule. I'll give you an example. I think I don't have any rules here with only with port. There's another one. TCP 8000. I don't know if there was a hit. Okay, there was no hit. This one is actually not bad. I have here an application any, and I have 274 hits, 1000 hits. This rule has seen 46 apps. So if you click on this 46, you can see all the apps that have been seen and the traffic information from the last 30 days. And here, what you can do, if it was a local rule or if you were on Panorama, you could check these options here. And you can click on this button here called Add to this rule. And what the firewall does is to take these apps which are not configured on the rule, and it adds these apps on the rule. Instead of you adding manually, and it adds the apps. So it would mean, if you do this, that all the other apps, of course, after you commit, won't be allowed through the rule anymore. So in this case, you make the rule a lot more robust. On the left side, you have this Policy Optimizer. And under Policy Optimizer, you have the first option is New App Viewer. The Palo Alto Networks constantly release new apps. They change some apps. There are some apps, for example, that has been recognized until now as SSL. Now they're going to be recognized through some other apps. For example, GitHub or WebEx was just changed a while ago. I think it was WebEx Upload or something like this. And these apps that change, if you have some rules allowing some apps that have been changed or about to be changed, this new app viewer can show you these rules, and you should be a little bit more, I won't say careful, but you should pay a little bit more attention to these rules. If somebody from your company or from your customer's company complain, okay, for example, WebEx is a good example, that WebEx is not working anymore. So maybe it can be that under new app viewer, you can have some information regarding the new apps. Of course, Palo Alto always sends emails with content updates, so you can know a couple months before they make some change in the apps. A long time ago, Palo Alto changed something in DNS. I think it created a container. There was no DNS base, it was just DNS, and they created DNS base. I remember that we didn't really pay attention to this change, and there was a DNS problem because the file stopped recognizing the application DNS as used to recognize before. They give you a couple months for you to configure the new application. The application you can configure on your rules. They won't be active. They take a couple months for these new applications to be active, but you can already configure them before on your rules. So in this case here, the new app viewer can help you with this sort of stuff. Rules without app control. It means if you have a rule that under application, you don't have SSL, web browsing, you have either any, and you do some port-based configuration. Here, it can help you with recognition of the apps. You have here app scene, which in this case is 46. And all these apps have been recognized so far. Why there are so many apps? Because my rule has under apps allowed any. So in this case here, you can see a list of the rules that have some optimization potential. They can be optimized. Unused apps also relate to apps. These are the rules that allow more apps than have been seen so far. In this case here, allow DNS. Apps allowed have 2. If I click here, I only see a DNS because DNS is not really an app by itself. It's a container. And what it has seen so far is DNS base. Let's go to DNS. I'm going to show you objects, why it's showing like this. If I enter here DNS, I see that DNS is a container and it has under itself DNS base and DNS non-RFC. Having my rule DNS, I'm automatically allowing also DNS non-RFC. That's why here under unused app, it's showing me 2 apps allowed. So it's DNS base and DNS non-RFC. DNS non-RFC I don't need. And through this option here, I can take a nice look of the rules that are allowing too much. And there's an optimization potential. This other one here, I'm allowing 6. If I click here on app scene, I can see the whole information. The file has only seen 1 application so far, but I'm allowing 6. So if I click here and leave the LDAP, I could come here and click on delete. Depends on how old the rule is. Can be that an application only gets used maybe 3 or 4 times a year and need to be careful a little bit with this kind of stuff. But for example, here I can see it first seen. Of course, this is my lab, but let's suppose this is production. You can see that the rule has been created, or the first packet has been seen on the 14th of July and the last one on the 3rd of April of 2025. So it has been, what, 9 months here in between. And in these 9 months, I only saw LDAP from the 6th that I allow. This will be probably a good candidate for you to be able to optimize some things. Log forwarding for security services. Here you can see the list of the rules that have no log forwarding configured. You can see log forwarding profile, I have none, none. In my lab, I don't have any logging forward. I'm not sending my logs to Panorama, for example, even though I have a Panorama. But if you're in production, maybe it's something that you should pay attention, because you can see that my firewall logging only residing on my firewall. I don't have these logs anywhere else. And especially if you have Panorama, usually you would be sending the logs to your Panorama or to the old Cortex data lake, the Strata clouding service, cloud services from Palo Alto, that you can have these logs in the cloud. So here also in this case, there will be some also optimization potential. And rule usage, you can take a look at the rules that have not been used in the last 30 days or 90 days. You can click here on each one of these, but here you can also change the time frame. If you select here, for example, past 30 days, you get a list of the rules that have not got any matches in the last 30 days at least, or older, of course. There are some rules have a hit count of 0. Can change here to 90 days maybe. I have 30 items here. 90 days, I still have 30 items. And all time, I have 23 items. So I have 7 rules that have been seen, but not in the last 90 days. I have here a reset date. This is the rule that I have reset my hit count. Again, here you can do the same also. If I come here and you can reset my hit count. It's also possible under this menu, unused. And you can select these rules here. I cannot do again because I have pushed these rules from Panorama. But you can select these rules and click on delete, so you can delete these rules. Or you can disable the rules also. And whenever you disable a rule, you can see under modified when the last modification has been done on the rule. So maybe you wait for 6 months or something, and you can say, okay, there was no complaint. I can erase this rule. This would be an example of how you could optimize security policy rules. So guys, thank you very much for watching the video and also being part of this community. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and maybe this video here can help you further with the Palo Alto configuration, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.